You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, we hit Palmy for the Protector Insurance Street Rod Nationals and the very cool and eclectic car collection of David and Catherine Parker. First up though, the crew from Maguire's thought we'd better take a good look at Frazer McKenzie's elite and all-steel Mustang. While it'd be fair to say the 67 Fastback was always destined to go a bit further than your average Eleanor clone, it wasn't until a conversation at Matamata Panelworks that things would get thoroughly out of hand.
No, originally we started off with the car and we got a fiberglass kit for it. Things weren't fitting that well, even though we had a really good solid foundation of a car with no rust or anything to work on. And Malcolm just tongue-in-cheek said to me at Panelworks one day, "Why don't we do it in steel?" Right, you're on.
Now, you could be forgiven for thinking this was all drop and go, a checkbook build. Sure, it could have been. Matamata Panelworks have built one serious reputation for the levels of finish on their cars, a good many of those Mustangs. But no, Frazer had a plan. Or more accurately, he literally had plans, detailed ones too. And bar the switch to steel, this is that same car.
A lot of the work on the car has been done here in Taumarunui through myself and through other contacts that we've got in the town. So a heap of fabrication work and different tricky little bits and pieces were done right here. The design was done before we started and we followed that design all the way through with the exception of using metal instead of fiberglass. The special elements in it were always going to be in it, perhaps at not quite as high a level, but Malcolm certainly made sure that they come out at that high end level. We just started off with the movie correct car, and we looked at things on the movie correct car that I wanted to improve on. So everything that we've done is about improving it and making everything functional on the car. For instance, the scoops on the side of the car, they're functional. There's a 67 louver on the side of the car just behind the front doors, and that's iconic for 67 only. So we've left those louvers in but still made the scoops functional around the outside, similar to what Carroll Shelby would have done on the GT series cars. They're not just bolt on to look good, they actually bolt on and do their job. The lines down the side of the door have been extended and pronounced. The car's got huge 315 rear tyres on it, but the car's not tubbed. So all that tyre room has come on the outside of the panel, inside the flares. So when you go to put it on a trailer, it's quite a lot wider than a standard car. You drive it everywhere. It's slightly shorter than what an original Eleanor would be. So we've kept the short bonnet on it and not put the long nose on it. It's bulked out in a lot of areas where other cars aren't bulked out, and I think that recipe's certainly come through and given us a good result.
The 67 truly is a details car. In fact, only the factory cowl escaped modification. But what makes this build such a success is the way those features seamlessly work together as a whole package. That also means when trying to work out what's been done, it's pretty hard to pinpoint exactly where to start.
Yeah, it's quite complimentary in a way that people can look at it and they know what it is, but they can't necessarily put their finger on what's different about it. That intrigues me. I get quite a bit of sort of unseen satisfaction from that. Yeah, it's quite a conversation piece.
The Fastback now plays host to a top-of-the-line front end, complete with coilovers, rack and pinion steering and big brakes. Out back, it's more RRS. A 3-link locates the 9-inch diff.
The plan was to have a car that we could drive. The suspension in the car is for comfort and for performance. Part of the brief to setting up this car for clearancing around wheel arches and ride height was I don't want it too low. Our roads down in this area of the country are quite rough. You can probably see by the video that there's some undulations in the road that you've got to contend with.
And then there's the go department. Again, Frazer knew what he wanted here, 400 horses on pump gas. Ian Coleman obliged, bolting together a 401 Windsor based around a Dart block and Dart Pro 1 alloy heads, both chock full of quality gear. It's a practical and talky package, and yep, naturally Frazer had plenty of ideas about how best to make things presentable when you pop the hood.
I'm a perfectionist by nature. I run a building company here in Toromanui, and I do my best to give our clients the best that we can for the money that they spend. So there's always that transition between amount spent and result achieved. If you want to go to the next level, you've got to be prepared to spend a bit of money to get it, or do a hell of a lot of work to get it to that level. And in this car, both those cases have been put forward. You know, we've done a hell of a lot of work to get it to that level, and the money has been correctly spent in the right areas. It was never intended to be a show car for a long time and be put away in trailers and things. It has done that circuit, and now we're using it more and more on the road, and from where we live it's a 2-hour trip minimum to any show and another 2-hour trip home, so it gets a good workout when we do take it for a run.
And thanks to Maguire's, your ride can look sharp too. Stay tuned to find out how you can win big a little later in the show. Street Rod Nats time now, and for that our mates at NZHRA pointed us to Palmy for the annual NZHRA event.
The Street Rod Nationals. They're held most years by a NZHRA affiliated Hot Rod Club of New Zealand. 3 years ago we put our hands up to run it. We've got about 170 cars registered, so that's making about 300 odd people here. It's been held by the Palmerston North Hot Rod Club itself, which is a club of 45 people, and a small committee of 7 have taken on this task over the last 18 months and turned it into the event that we've got this weekend.
The club scene is what drives everything. Every club is different. They inherently have their own personalities, each club. But the bottom line is it's about members that have a passion for cars and want to share it with everyone else.
Yeah, they're a positive thing for hot rodding. A lot of people need to come to them. There's a lot of people out there that, you know, are in hot rod clubs, go to meetings, go to nothing. They don't see what goes on. You need to kind of get out there and have a look.
It's just so much fun. You know, a few days away from everything and just hear the sound of V8s all the time and the rumble and the smell, and if you've got a car like this you want to drive the wheels off it, so you go to as much as you can.
If you've got a passion for cars, this is where you've got to be, and you'll get that bug that says I've got to have one. That's what happened to me to start with.
2017's Protector Insurance Street Rod Nationals made Palmy's Awapuni Racecourse its base. The function centre, the setting for meals, entertainment, as well as Saturday's dress-up do with surprise op-shop theme. It was also the meeting place before hitting the road, with cruises and activities in store all over the Manawatu, including a lap or two around Manfield, a visit to Harrisville, and Sunday show day at Palmerston North's Town Square.
The type of cars you'll see, a lot of American-based. Our own club is made up of pre-49 or anything with American origin. Other clubs have other rules. So all sorts of cars can belong to it and come along to these things, which helps make the event quite diverse. And that really is a good thing, because you see something that you would not normally see. It's always interesting to see cars that just made the road. One of our own club members is here today with his new project that only finished on Friday, so yeah, it's great.
While the event spans Labour weekend, it does allow a bit of time to get there. With the main event really kicking off on Saturday, most made use of the Friday for travel, like Jack Rainbow, part of a large contingent from up north.
It's a 1965 Chev pickup truck, C10, long wheelbase. It's running a small block Chev that is twin turbo fuel injected with a 5-speed box. I think the power plant was a couple of years, maybe a year into it, when we started building all the exhaust. We thought, why not add some power in there, and then that was the point of no return. At the moment it's at about 475 at the wheels. We had it a bit higher on the dyno, but we tuned it down a little bit for drivability and longevity.
Our more eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed this truck is a wee bit lower than stock. No hacking off a coil or two here, the C10's lack of altitude is the result of a whole bunch of thought and hours.
Got the chassis on a jig and just cut it off underneath the footwells, and it's got a whole new front chassis in it from Mark Morrison, and custom C-notch and 4-bar rear end and 9-inch diff, and a lot of work's gone into it. A lot of work.
Another gentleman from up the line, Russ McIntyre.
Bit of a drive down, 6.5 hours or 7-hour drive, but all good, no breakages. It's actually a 1932 truck that was actually a 4-door sedan that was cut down from a truck in 1964 and chopped. And I've had it for like the body shell for like 30 years. Basically spent quite a bit of money on panel beating and built it to what it looks like today. It's running a 461 turbo 400 9-inch Ford with 325 gears. It's probably about 500 horsepower. Disc brake front, drum brake rear. It's a Dwayne Jones Kiwi Connection chassis. The tray's all handmade years ago. Looks like an old car on the surface, but underneath it's quite well equipped. Originally I had it when I was 23 and I'm kind of 54 now. It was originally going to be black and blown, but as time went on and I had various other vehicles, it ended up like this. I'm quite glad it did actually, because it's easy to drive, it stays cool, it goes good.
And those would prove to be pretty handy characteristics over the following 48 hours. Stick around for more Street Rod Nats after the break. You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and NZHRA. Right, we're back to Palmy now thanks to NZHRA, where the Protector Insurance Street Rod Nationals have made themselves right at home in the town square.
A lot of people get a lot of pleasure out of these sorts of cars, and to see the group behind me here that we've got today, it's just amazing who comes and has a look, mum and dad and the kids, and it's great to see them here. They're all wanting to have a look at the chromey bits, a little bit like magpies.
They might not own them, but hey, a lot of these people have owned cars historically because parents might be as old as I am type thing, and their kids are growing up and they go, I used to have one of them. And we build some pretty cool stuff in New Zealand, and we've got to keep doing it. Otherwise, there are people out there we know in government and things that they probably prefer that hot rodders didn't exist, I suppose, because it creates a nightmare for them with rules and regulations, but we've got a pretty sound foundation and we're here for the long haul.
Long haul also applies to the entrants. There's 170 of them and many have added a fair few numbers to the odometer. Not so much Steve though, a local and member of the host club.
It's a 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air, 4-door, New Zealand new, and it's running a 396 big block. It actually been stored for 16 years, it hadn't been driven, then got stored into a paddock, and I found it on Trade Me, went and had a look at it up in a place called Pipariki, way up the Wanganui River, brought it home, and then it started. I had to replace everything, but never mind, it was what I wanted, and so I got what I wanted.
And Steve was pretty happy with his hometown hot rod makeover.
Fantastic, yeah. I mean, the club is fairly strong as far as members go, but you've got to do a lot of travelling. Well, these guys have done the travelling to us this time, so this is what hot rodding's all about, really, is to get everybody together, talking, mingling, finding out how they did things. So it's been really good.
Part of a convoy making the drive all the way from Franklin was Brent in his GTX.
It's not garage art. Stone chips are part of the car's features. If you're not driving it, no point having it. It's a 1968 Plymouth GTX running a 499 big block Chrysler, 727 auto, and just a standard posi traction diff. It's a bit of a project. It's come and been painted in the US. It's a pretty crappy paint job. The engine was tired. That's been rebuilt by Street Rod engine reconditioners. transmission was done by Chuck Mann. There's more body work to be done now. It's starting to show a bit of signs of wear and tear and a lot more paint to go on it yet. I've always liked GTXs. I saw one at a hot rod show that Manukau put on 15 years ago. It was a 1969 GTX. Thought it was an absolutely glorious car, so chance came to buy this. I had the money at the time, managed to talk the wife into it, and I was allowed. So that's what it's all about.
Proving a good match for Brent and his Franklin Street Rods clubmates was a large showing from the Wanganui Road Rodders. In fact, you couldn't split them, the two sharing the award for the best represented club. And from the Road Rodders, Heather and one Willie's Whippet. Supposedly a rat rod, but when your partner in crime pilots a past New Zealand show winner, things can get a little, sidetracked.
Started life as a 4-door. We didn't want 4 doors, so we got rid of 2. Took out all the rust, and that's what we were left with. When Rod started cutting it, he stood back, looked at it and said, I'm 1 mil out on that side, and I knew then and there it was not going to be a rat rod. 44 skulls on it, I went a bit overboard. Threw in the old Y block just to get it going, and it's still going after 7,500 miles. And it's backed by a Mustang AOD.
The Street Rod Nats wrap with prize giving. Among the many awards were placings for top 10 street machines and top 10 hot rods. Taking out the top spots respectively was Steve and Leanne Milne in their appropriately plated Slick 56 210 Chev, while John Allen's 32 5-window snagged yet another bit of silverware. Well deserved, but for most, the great weekend didn't have much to do with trophies.
Doesn't matter whether you win a prize or not, you do it for the love of cars, and you get to see some beautiful cars. So you take those memories with you, and the photos.
Right, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, it's time to check out the eclectic assortment of cars that is the collection of David and Catherine Parker.
You always sold a car to get the next one you liked. You look at another car and think, I like that, so you'd sell that one to get that one. And then down the years you sort of think, I wish I'd kept that car. And I wish I'd kept that car. So about 25 years ago I started keeping them. Takes time, money, loans, you name it. But we get there.
And this is what 25 years of David and Catherine's car accumulation looks like. It's not marque specific, and they've handpicked favourites from across the ages. Early stuff includes Buick, but goes all the way up to this Viper. And a lot in between. Ford, GM, Mopar, it's all there. However, there is a common theme.
Style. They've all got style. So you look at a car of an American through the 40s and 50s and even the 60s, and it looks like someone's made it. It doesn't look like a computer-generated image. But it's got to be good, clean, serviceable, and usable. It doesn't have to be mint. I like my cars to go, because if I don't go, I can't drive them. That's the bottom line. I like to drive my cars.
While none are exactly what you'd call common, David and Catherine prioritise the more oddball, harder to source stuff first, leaving more easily accessible cars, such as this New Zealand new 46 Merc, till a little later down the track. But often, you could say it's more of a case of the vehicle finding them.
2 or 3 we've searched out specifically. Like the 59 Dodge. Kath wanted one of those. She looked for 3 or 4 years, 5 years before she got that. The red truck I've got there, that we were looking to buy one to restore over here, but there was nothing. Everyone wanted a lot of money for something that needed restoring, and it was just too bad. So we went to the States, and I found that in Chicago, so it had to be. Other than that, the rest just sort of turn up. A friend of mine will have a car, and he says, I'm ringing me up, and he says, oh, I'm selling a car. You interested? And if it's the right car, I'm interested. A lot of it's New Zealand history. I mean, we've got ex-race cars here, we've got ex-government service cars here. It's important we have it. Well, I don't know how they're going to go in the future with the way the fuel goes, but at the end of the day, even if they don't go anywhere, they're still here. I mean, we've got museums, put them in. And I suppose just a lot of people call this a mini museum, so.
But there's no gathering dust just yet. The impressive thing about this collection is that almost all of them are roadworthy and used. The Parkers are regulars at events around the country, and trailer is a dirty word, either taking turns to give each car a run or a case of picking the best tool for the job. But driving means maintenance, and the challenge there, of course, is staying up to speed with each car's idiosyncrasies, let alone just their running gear.
It's hard to remember what all the cars are, actually, because when you do forget, you work on something for a while and you find out all about it, and then you put it away and get something else out and do the same thing. You just got to have probably a reasonable memory. So mine's not too bad. Things break down, they're a car. They're going to break down. Machines always break down, no matter how old it is or new. The biggest thing involved, I think, is cleaning them. And that's the bit that I don't actually like too much. Well, I've got the cars that need to be cleaned. I do clean them, but it's not the part of the fashion I like.
And while this purpose-built barn's 4 walls are designed to act as a self-imposed limit to the Parker's car collection, we didn't like to bring up the rather full-looking workshop out back, or this neat El Camino that just appeared from some other corner of the property. It seems 25 years on and David and Catherine might be slowing, but it sure doesn't seem like they're stopping.
No, I don't want to cure. I mean, it's a good bug. It keeps you too busy to go out and make mischief. Far too busy. Do I need as many cars? Don't know. Do I want as many cars? Yeah, I do. I like them all, and so does she. I just think it's a passion. I've always liked cars, and I'm always going to have cars. It's just a passion. People call it an addiction. I'll let them decide.
Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.